Please, ladies and gentlemen, Clear Channel Broadcasting would like to welcome you to a night of Ballroom Boxing at the Zembo Auditorium. Promoter Scott Wagner of Ballroom Boxing, and this show is approved and sanctioned by the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission, Commissioner George Piccato, and Executive Director Greg Serb. Our first battle of the evening is in the junior middleweight division. It will be a 6-rounder. The referee in charge is Gary Rosado. The judges, Tony Wolf, Paul Battle, and Bernard Bruni. Introducing the boxers. First, to my left, out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with white, weighing 151 pounds. He is from Detroit, Michigan, with a record of 9-1-1, 2 via the KO. Please welcome Leon Pierson. To my right, out of the red corner, wearing red trunks, weighing 154.5 pounds. He hails from Reading, Pennsylvania, with a record of 9-0, all by the KO. Please welcome Kermit, the Killer Cintron.
So we are set. This fight scheduled for 6 rounds. Kermit Cintron, a good-looking young fighter, and he's got a pretty tough test in Leon Pierson, who has a pretty good record himself. Gary Rosado is the referee. Heard so much about Cintron, John. We finally get a chance to see him now.
Well, he's a terrific puncher. Leon Pierson, not known for his punching ability, but a very good boxer.
Fight is scheduled for 6 rounds at the Zembo Temple here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Ballroom Boxing on the road. Kermit Cintron from Pennsylvania, John, locally, your backyard, in fact.
Yes, it is, although I don't know where Columbia, PA is.
No, me neither. I know where Hershey, PA is for sure. Just follow the smell of chocolate. So Leon Pierson is southpaw, and John, I wish we had done a little bit more research, not really knowing how many southpaws Cintron has fought, but anytime a young guy like Cintron in the ring, with an unbeaten record, a southpaw is going to be a tough test for him.
Well, it's not an easy assignment, and you have to have a lot of sparring against a southpaw to get used to that kind of a stance. But you know what? We're seeing more and more left-handers in boxing these days. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's a reluctance among trainers to switch guys up.
I don't know, John. You're right, though. It does seem there are more southpaws. You're right.
Well, we're certainly seeing them on the Ballroom series.
No question. And I'm wondering also, while we have a second, is this fight just underway, whether some guys get switched to give a different look. And you also see a lot of guys switching back and forth, not making up their mind, thinking that they'll give the opponent a little bit of a different look throughout a fight. Leon Pierson from Detroit, Michigan. Cintron has that ideal body for a boxer, long, sinewy muscles, and he obviously does not have much fat on his body. It's a junior middleweight fight. Good body shot by Pearson, catching Cintron on the way back.
You see how cautious Cintron is being here in these early moments of the first round.
John, you hear about the feeling out process in a fight like this, but with the fight being just 6 rounds, you really don't have time to give away a round.
No, you don't want to do that, but fighting a left-hander, he's going to have to try to figure out that style here in the first 3 minutes and then look to capitalize beginning in the second round, build from that.
Pearson scored with the left hand there moments ago, but did not phase Cintron. Cintron had a pretty good amateur background and hopes to make his mark as a professional. 9-0, all 9 wins coming by way of knockout. So he has a streak on the line here tonight.
A lot of people think you don't really jab a southpaw, but Cintron is doing a lot of that here in the first round. Not really using the lead right hand, but scoring there, Larry.
He wobbled Pearson. You can see his legs buckle. Pearson now in a defensive mode. Cintron being patient. You don't see that much in a young guy. Pearson battling back.
Pearson's really going to the body well here in the first round and keeping Cintron at bay a little bit.
Closing moments of round one here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Ballroom Boxing in the house. We'll be back with more Cintron and Pierson in a moment. All right, round two underway. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno. This is Ballroom Boxing. Ballroom Boxing on the road, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The site, Zembo Temple Arena. And John, a pretty even first round.
It was a good first round for both fighters in terms of them getting settled down. I think Cintron was very careful in that first round, Larry. Pierson did some excellent work to the body. And I think you're going to see Cintron shorten up his punches a little bit in this round and be a little bit more aggressive, particularly with the right hand.
One thing that is missing from this contest is the contributions of John Scheinman. Have you seen John Scheinman, Jon Saraceno?
He was lurking somewhere, but I don't know. He got tied up.
He didn't make the road team. He didn't make the road team.
He was lurking back in Glen Burnie, actually. So for the Harrisburg show, we're going with a sparse staff.
He must have missed the bus. In any event, Leon Pearson continues to move forward now. He's showing a lot of guts fighting a guy who has all of his victories by knockout, John. Pearson right there in front of Cintron.
He's there to be hit.
For a young guy like Cintron, does he have the potential to fall into a trap, John, of looking for the knockout, trying to keep that streak alive?
Well, you know what? I don't think he can afford that against Leon Pearson. And watching Cintron here live for the first time, he's not the kind of puncher I thought he would be, based on his record and where he has gone so far. He doesn't really turn over his punches with a lot of authority. He doesn't get quite enough leverage with some of those shots.
Just a young guy, though, 20 years old.
He's got to learn to not punch so wide. He's a very wide sweeping puncher, and he's actually robbing himself of power by doing that.
Less than a minute to go here in round two. Kermit Cintron in the red trunks, Leon Pearson out of Detroit, Michigan in the black trunks with the white trim.
I think Pierson would do better to put a lot more pressure on Cintron. He's doing it sometimes with the body, but again, he's trying to outbox him from the outside, and you would think Cintron might have an advantage there because of his physique.
Crowd beginning to get on Cintron a little bit. His nickname, the Killer, they're yelling out, "Where's the Killer tonight?" Closing moments of round two here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Kermit Cintron in the red trunks, Leon Pearson in the black trunks. Pretty tight fight. As Ballroom Boxing continues after this. All right, Larry Michael and Jon Saraceno at the Zembo Temple, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Ballroom Boxing on the road. In the ring right now, Kermit Cintron and Leon Pearson. And through 2 rounds, John, how do you have this fight scored?
Unofficially, obviously, I've got it even after 2. So we've got a long way to go here in the scheduled 6-rounder.
Are you surprised that Pearson is standing in against the power-punching Cintron, who has 9 victories, all by way of knockout?
Well, I think he should be more standing in effectively on the inside, punching, giving him angles, going to the body, and moving him more instead of trying to box him from the outside. I'm not so sure he's going to be effective doing that, Larry.
Well, in talking to Pearson before the fight, he told us that he knew that Cintron had a lot of power, but he claimed he had some power as well. He's tagged Cintron a couple times, but has not hurt Cintron.
That's what he should be doing right there. And then moving and turning and getting out of the way. He can't, not just doing what he's there with the head movement and the torque from the waist, but he's got to move his feet and keep Cintron off balance so he can't find him.
Referee Gary Rosado looking to the corner as the mouthpiece came out of the mouth of Leon Pearson. Didn't see that happen. I don't know if that was a punch or just his mouth open. Now 360 by Pierson.
Has Cintron thrown a lead right hand all night, Larry? That's the premier punch against the southpaw.
Tell you, it looks to me, John, that the movement of Pierson with his head has really thrown Cintron off. I think that Pierson has done a good job giving Cintron a moving target, and Cintron's still looking to find the range. Pierson fighting more in his rhythm, in my opinion, than Cintron, but Cintron has the bigger punch. Less than a minute to go in round 3.
Well, that's Cintron's reputation, but you also have to wear down a fighter. You can't rely on one shot to get a guy out of there. You've got to build upon it, and he's trying to do that from a boxing standpoint, from the outside, but not a very rough guy. If I'm Pierson, I'd try to rough this guy up, which is what he's trying to do. I just don't know how successful he's going to be at doing it.
Very little damage has been inflicted in this fight. In round 1, Cintron wobbled Pierson with the right hand, but that's been about it. It's been a pretty even boxing match since that point. So Pierson has a good defense there with his hands right in front of his face. Cintron might be waiting for that one home run shot. Closing moments of round 3 as we have reached the midway point of this 6-round fight. More Ballroom Boxing coming up from the Zembo Temple in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania after a short timeout. All right, welcome back to Ballroom Boxing. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno. To check out more about Ballroom Boxing, go to ballroomboxing.com. You'll see the schedule, you'll see the merchandise, and you know what else, John? You'll see the ring card girls as well. And I know that is one of your favorite stops on your computer.
Yes, right. You've been nosing around on my computer, I can see, huh?
I have not checked out the hard drive of Saraceno's computer.
You'll find nothing but boxing there, my friend.
I'm sure the downloads are what I want to get into. John, we've reached the midway point in this fight, and surprisingly, I think it's a very, very tight fight with Cintron and Pierson going toe-to-toe.
Well, I think Cintron's getting the better of him, boxing him, outboxing Pierson. Pierson's got to put a lot more pressure, and here you see Cintron being more aggressive. This is his most aggressive round in the 3rd.
Pierson just keeps on moving forward, however, and gets low with his head, moving side to side.
To be quite honest, both of these fighters are arm punchers, and they're going to have to learn to shorten up their shots, be a little more effective with leverage to get more power. Right now, we do have really an even match.
Pretty close. And going in, I think the favorite, at least locally here in Pennsylvania, was Kermit Cintron with the unbeaten record.
That was an awkward lead right hand thrown off balance by Cintron.
Oh, I think Pierson scored a right hand counter that time on the inside. That stopped Cintron for a moment.
Well, Cintron has really thrown out the boxing Bible tonight by operating from behind the left hand against the southpaw. You just don't see it that often. But it appears to be working.
Good learning experience for Cintron. You can't just walk in there and walk through every opponent. Pierson, a good defensive fighter and a good puncher as well, as we see there.
Cintron does not have the fastest hands, and that is going to haunt him one day with somebody who can counterpunch very fast.
A clash of heads there as both men leaned in. It's overhand right by Pierson scores. This fight settling into kind of a ponderous tempo, John. I think it's Pierson's tempo. I think he's taken some of the play away from Cintron. Cintron the stronger puncher, however. And Pierson's hit him a few times and has not moved Cintron at all.
You know what? I'm not even sure that Cintron's a better puncher than Pierson. I'm really not, because of the way that Cintron throws his shots. Very wide, and he loses a lot of steam from them. And on the inside, Pierson, when he throws, much more authority. The question is, he's not landing quite enough, and Cintron has been able to outbox him from the outside and keep him at bay.
End of the 4th round, scheduled for 6. Ballroom Boxing returns in a moment. All right, round 5 underway here at the Zembo Temple. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno. This is Ballroom Boxing. On the road for this edition at Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And John, how far away from here did you grow up?
I'd say about 200 miles, Erie, Pennsylvania. And I went to school in State College, which is a lot closer to Harrisburg, probably about an hour and a half. So it's a great place to be from.
I don't know what to say about that, John, other than the people have been nice to me in our trip here this week for this boxing extravaganza at the Zembo Temple.
No, they are great folks up here.
Were they being nice to me because you are a native?
No.
Probably
no.
not. They're all nice.
You wouldn't have that, no. They're just good people up here, and we hope to be back soon.
In the ring right now, Kermit Cintron in the red and Leon Pierson in the black trunks with the white trim. And got to tell you, folks, coming into this fight, there was so much hype about Kermit Cintron and his unbeaten record, 9-0 with 9 knockouts. I expected him to walk right through Leon Pierson. Though, John, you have Cintron ahead. It's a pretty tight fight.
Cintron ahead 39-37. I had never seen him fight in person before and expected, based on his record, a lot more power. But he's really not that kind of a power puncher, Larry. And Pearson, when he's been on the inside, has been much more effective. Question is, he can't get past that good uppercut by Cintron. He can't get past the jab.
Another good uppercut by Cintron. He's finding the punch here midway through this fight that's effective. He's pulling back with his head up, though. Cardinal sin, and again, you have to question the punching power of Leon Pierson. He hit him flush.
Well, neither of these two guys are big punchers, as we've noted. And you're right, Cintron makes a lot of elementary mistakes defensively. Unfortunately, Pearson hasn't been able to make him pay enough tonight, and that's why he's behind, at least unofficially on our cards.
Less than a minute to go in the 5th round. This fight's scheduled for 6 rounds. These are junior middleweights, Kermit Cintron from Pennsylvania and Leon Pierson from Detroit, Michigan. It's kind of a clumsy fight, John. There really has. This has not been a pretty fight. Neither man has been down. Neither man has been cut. Pierson wobbled in round 1, but he recovered very quickly, and this is the type of battle we've seen from the opening bell.
Well, Cintron did not like those body punches. You saw the effect it had on there. He just backed up, took a deep breath.
Yeah.
And that's what Pearson needed to do more of, Larry, in this fight. He's got to get on the inside and tear away at the body and then go upstairs.
This could be Pearson's best round, John, at least the best part of a round. And you're right, Cintron was wincing from the body attack by Pierson as round 5 comes to a close. You're watching Ballroom Boxing. Action from round 5. Pierson battling off the ropes, John.
And that's not where he wants to be. He wants to attack the body, and he did a lot of that good body punching in that round, Larry.
Really, that left hand by Pierson took the action back to the center of the ring impressively, but Cintron leading on your card through 5, John.
Unofficially 48-47, close fight.
So here we go, the 6th and final round. Kermit Cintron in the red trunks. And in the black trunks, Leon Pierson. Does Pierson need a knockout to win, John?
Good question. He's probably behind. If I'm in his corner, I'm telling him you got to go out there and give it your all. At the same token, I don't think Cintron, who probably assumes he's ahead in this fight, can coast this round. I think he's got to be fairly aggressive.
I like the work that Pierson did in the previous round, round 5. And again, the defense of Pierson has really thrown Cintron a curve. Cintron used to knocking out his opponents. It doesn't look like he's going to get one of those tonight.
Well, Cintron demonstrated tonight he does not know how to fight a left-hander in a classic style. And I think that worked against him. If he can learn something from this fight, and that is you can't just jab a southpaw. You have to use a lot of lead right hands. And he did not do that. I think he made the fight harder on him than he had to make it.
John, even though Cintron will have a perfect record if he in fact still wins this fight, do you think a bit of a monkey off his back not having to keep that knockout streak alive?
Perhaps. I mean, but again, he's not the kind of fighter that is really relying on power. We didn't see it here tonight if he did in the past. Pierson
really not doing a whole lot here to change the tempo or the pace of the fight. Cintron to the body.
Well, Pearson's going to have to be a lot more aggressive here in this round. I don't see the passion and the fury out of Leon Pierson here to try to put this man away and win this fight. If he's assuming he's ahead on points, that's a very faulty assumption on his part.
Cintron moving for the first time in his fight, on his toes. Still the Leon Pierson, as we approach the 1 minute to go mark in this sixth and final round, has not done a whole lot offensively in this fight. He's looked, I'd say, average in this battle against Cintron.
The other thing against the southpaw, you have to be a lot more aggressive, a lot more busy. And Cintron was the busier fighter tonight, but not by a whole lot.
Less than a minute to go in this fight. Pierson really needs to increase the intensity here. You don't think it's going to happen?
No, I don't. He looks spent, too. He looks tired, Pearson does. And I don't know if he's got a lot more in the tank. He's pot-shotting Cintron, hoping to land a lucky shot. And I don't think it's going to happen.
Couple nice shots by Pierson, do no damage as this fight winds down. So this fight will go to the judges' scorecards. It goes the distance as Kermit Cintron and Leon Pierson take it the full 6 rounds. As Cintron come out victorious, will he remain unbeaten? We will find out. The decision is next as Ballroom Boxing continues right after this. All right, looking back, action from the 6th and final round, John, more of the same.
Yeah, it was really a boxing exhibition by Kermit Cintron tonight, and he used that jab to dominate the southpaw, which was very unusual.
So the judges have control of this fight.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. Judge Wolf scores it 58-56. Judge Battle scores it 58-57. And Judge Bruni scores it 59-55. The winner by unanimous decision, Kermit, the Killer Cintron. Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. The Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission, Commissioner George Macchetto, and Executive Director Greg Serb, along with Ballroom Boxing promoter Scott Wagner, present this 8-round bout in the junior middleweight division. Your referee in charge is Gary Rosado. The judges are Tony Wolf, Paul Battle, and Bernard Bruni. The timekeeper, Dr. John Christopher, and the physician at ringside is Dr. Dennis Gilbert. Introducing the boxers. First, to my left, out of the blue corner, wearing the white trunks with blue, weighing 152.5 pounds, he is from Baltimore, Maryland, with a record of 13-8-1, 5 via the KO. Please welcome, from the Mac Lewis Gym, Charles Clark. Out of the red corner, wearing the black trunks with gold, weighing 154 pounds. Originally from Kampala, Uganda, now residing in West Palm Beach, Florida, with a record of 10-1, 4 via the KO. Please welcome Robert, the Doctor Kamya.
The Doctor, according to Pat O'Malley.
Okay, gentlemen.
Is that like doctor?
I'm going to tell you 2 things right now. Protect yourselves at all times, and above all, obey my commands. Any questions here? No. Robert, any questions? Any questions? Touch gloves? Bang at the bell.
All right, Gary Rosado, good official. It's Robert Kamya, 10-1, 4 wins by knockout. Charles Clark, 13-8-1, 5 wins by knockout. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno, Kamya, not a lot of knockouts, John, but the 10 wins. What do you know about him?
Well, he's out of Uganda, and of course there's been a lot of good fighters have come out of that African nation.
Of course, Charles Clark, we know him well, been in the ballroom before. Know to expect a guy who's just going to come and fight. He is a pro. Both fighters conventional. Kamya going straight to the body of Charles Clark. No feeling out process here, John. Both men wanting to wail early.
No warming up in the bullpen, as it were. Kamya really ripping away with those left hooks to the body here in the opening moments of the first round.
Charles Clark, real tough guy, and been in a lot of different situations, even though he isn't that old of a guy, just 24 years old. You can hear the corner of Charles Clark referring to the jaw of Kamya, his one loss, coming by way of knockout.
Well, Clark out of Baltimore, he's got some fans up here, made the drive up to Harrisburg, not really that far. And he's going to need all the support he can get against Robert Kamya, who's only been beaten once in 11 fights.
This fight is scheduled for 8 rounds. Junior middleweights. Good action-packed opening round, and that's the kind of style we have grown to expect in ballroom boxing as the series has grown over the years.
A good upper body movement by Kamya. Not an easy target to hit.
Really keeping a distance until he's ready for an offensive move. You see him just keeping good distance, not giving Clark any opportunity. Fight is being dictated on Kamya's terms right now.
And Clark's got to shorten up that distance and get inside a little bit. And right there, he should be ripping away at the body when he gets Kamya against the ropes. Should take advantage of that position. Now, if Kamya decides to stay on the outside with that long, lean left hand, it's going to be a long night for Charles Clark.
Nice stiff jab by Clark.
And you know what? The shorter guy, sometimes, you can out-jab the taller guy. But you got to step in with authority with that jab. And that was a right hand that Clark threw from way too far outside, left him in a vulnerable position. But Kamya was unable to counterpunch.
We're at the Zembo Temple in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania for Ballroom Boxing. In the ring right now, Charles Clark. White trunks with a black trim from Baltimore, Maryland, and Robert Kamya from Uganda in the black trunks with the yellow trim.
Good body punch by Kamya.
Good left hook by Clark. Action-packed round 1 coming to a close. More Ballroom Boxing coming up in a moment. All right, action from round 1, and there you saw Kamya going to the body. Charles Clark, who responded with that leaping left hand. Good work by Clark. Time for round 2, Ballroom Boxing in the house. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno. To learn more about Ballroom Boxing, check us out, ballroomboxing.com. Tonight we are in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the home state of Jon Saraceno. John, you take such pride in Pennsylvania.
I'm a Keystoner, baby.
I guess that makes us Southerners down here in Maryland, doesn't it?
Well, now you're in my backyard, buddy. We're in Pennsylvania.
All right.
And right now, Robert Kamya is nowhere near Uganda, and he's got his hands full with Clark. I gave Clark that first round, Larry. I just thought he landed more effective shots, a little more authority on them. And I sense that Kamya is coming out with a little more resoluteness in this round, a little more determined.
Both men going to the body. Nice right hand to the body by Clark, reaching around the left arm of Kamya to get him right in the ribs.
Now see, Clark got nailed with 2 shots there because he got careless, momentarily backed out, dropped his hands to take a breath, and Kamya capitalized on it. Can't take too much of a breather when you're in the ring.
Clark diving in awkwardly. Kamya's got pretty good wheels, backed away nicely.
Well, if Kamya uses that long left hand a lot in this fight, there he did, right there. The left hand followed by the right. Classic 1-2 in boxing. It's going to be a long night for Charles Clark. He's got to find a way to effectively work his way on the inside. He's done some good body punching, but he's got to do more of it. He can't be on the outside of those long punches.
Kamya beginning to score with the right hand. Clark being a pressure fighter, really playing to the strength of Kamya. Kamya catching him on the way in.
Kamya's a tricky little fighter defensively.
These guys are junior middleweights. This fight is scheduled for 8 rounds. See, Clark keeps coming forward, John, and we talked about the distance that Kamya was keeping between himself and Clark. Is Clark beginning to cut that distance down a little bit?
But is it effective? He's kind of wailing away in no man's land. He's got to be a little more patterned with his attack and a little bit more poised. See, what happens, he stops on the outside, and then he gets picked apart with a 1-2. It's happening frequently in this round. It's a much better round for Kamya.
Kamya scoring with that left-right combination, but he stops and admires his work after he scores it each time. Round 2 winding down. Charles Clark and Robert Kamya. Fight scheduled for 8 rounds. Kamya has done most of the leading in this fight with the right hand, scoring again and again. Charles Clark's tough. He's still right in front of him. Round 3 will be next. All right, welcome back to Ballroom Boxing. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno, Charles Clark, and Robert Kamya in the ring. And John, how do you have it scored after 2 rounds?
I've got it even, 19-19. I thought that was a very good round for Kamya. He really nailed Clark with a lot of straight right hands.
Where's John Scheinman? Didn't make the trip, huh?
He missed the bus, I think.
We miss our colleague John Scheinman, who, in fact, as Clark gets tripped by Kamya. Did he miss the bus? Didn't he know we were leaving that early?
But Rudy, our producer, made the bus, and that's all we care about because we can present this show to everybody across America, in fact, the world.
Most important guy, Rudy Childs, right?
Without him, baby, we're out of work.
In the ring, Charles Clark, I should say, tags Kamya with the right hand. Did he hurt him there, John? I think he might have hurt him for a moment.
Shook him up.
Kamya getting careless. You see how low his left hand is, just inviting the right hand of Charles Clark.
Well, Kamya likes to throw from way outside in left field, and that is dangerous, particularly if you miss.
Clark just pawing with that jab.
It's that rocking motion that Kamya uses. Clark has to try to time that to land a shot.
Kamya slowing down a little bit, John, and we have a long way to go. This fight is scheduled for 8 rounds. The pressure of Charles Clark might come into play a little bit later. Might wear Kamya down.
It's possible. If he goes to the body a little bit more, that could take some energy away from Kamya, who is really dominating Clark from the outside.
See, Kamya almost inviting a shot from Charles Clark so he can counter, and there you go, scores with the left hand.
One of the mistakes Clark makes is after he punches, he drops his hands down and he leaves himself vulnerable to be hit, and that's what Kamya is doing.
Kamya continues to move forward. Look on Kamya's face, he looks like he's in pain. He looks like he's tiring a little bit. He's expended a lot of energy, and now he's trying to work on Charles Clark as round 3 comes to a close.
Well, Kamya is really out-punching Clark here. A busier, more effective fighter.
Not too hard to find Charles Clark, though, right in front of Kamya.
Can't miss him.
Closing moments of round 3. Larry Michael and Jon Saraceno, Ballroom Boxing on the road. in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Round 4 coming up next. All right, round 4 just underway. Robert Kamya in the black trunks with the yellow trim, and Charles Clark in the white trunks with the blue trim. Kamya's been the aggressor from the beginning of this fight. Charles Clark right in front of him trying to find an opening. Every time Clark opens up, John, Kamya counters.
Well, Clark has been a lot more aggressive in this round, trying to muscle his way on the inside there, and he's got to do more of that instead of trying to punch from the outside against a taller, rangier fighter.
Kamya in retreat right now, looking to find some distance from the aggressive, the freshly aggressive. Clark has really changed his style here in round 4, hadn't he?
Well, he's got a change up. He's got him losing 2 of the first 3 rounds, getting hit with a lot of long looping right hands.
Well, after that initial burst by Clark, he has settled back now. Back in at the pace that we've seen through the first 3, with Kamya from the outside, moving and scoring at a distance.
We haven't had a chance to see him or hear him in his corner, but Kamya working with former world champion Johnny Bumpus. A lot of experience in that corner.
Clark getting some good work done on the inside. Another body shot. That right hand to the ribs behind the left hand of Kamya has been effective for Clark. I'm surprised he's not throwing it more often.
Well, he's done a good job of that. Unfortunately, his legs don't look like they're there, Larry. He's off balance. He's very wide, and I question whether his stamina is going to be able to carry him through this fight. Scheduled 8-rounder.
The other side of the ledger, Kamya fighting with his mouth open here in round 4, and I think the pressure of Clark beginning to look at Kamya right there. He's looking frustrated and winded. Question is, can Clark keep up the pressure?
It's a better round for Clark. But Kamya's been a very busy fighter too throughout this match. I tell you what, Kamya can't afford to get careless here, Larry. You're right.
John, you see him stepping away. He's looking to catch a breather.
And Charles Clark is all over Kamya at this point. He's got to keep pressuring him, take some chances. He's going to get hit going in, but he's got to take some chances to land his punches.
Nice overhand right by Kamya. After he throws it, though, he kind of reloads it and he watches his work. Again, we mentioned that early. Not following up effective shots.
You know what? In this case, Kamya is a more poised fighter. He's a little more schooled of a fighter, Larry, and I think that is what gives him an edge over Charles Clark. He's a little more savvy.
Still a long way to go in this fight. It's scheduled for 8 rounds as we approach the end of round 4, with Clark beginning to bring a little more pressure to Kamya as this fight wears on. All right, so action from round 4. The big overhand right by Kamya, and followed it with a nice uppercut, John. Good skills being shown by Kamya.
And Kamya's used that uppercut to his advantage a lot in this fight. He's putting on a nice display of boxing here, Larry.
So it's time for round 5. We've reached the midway point in this fight. Robert Kamya in the black trunks with the yellow trim. Charles Clark, white trunks with black trim. And Jon Saraceno, how do you have it scored at the midway point?
I've got the fight all even through 4 rounds, but my sense is that Kamya is fighting the better fight against Clark, and he's going to wear him down.
Well, Kamya's showing some signs of fatigue in round 4, so we'll see if you are correct, as Kamya switching over to the southpaw stance. And you wonder why, as he elbowed Charles Clark away, gets the warning from the referee.
As well he should have.
Now he's back to the conventional stance.
Yeah, that didn't work out very well, did it?
No, talk about short-lived. John, you always look at the styles in a fight, and these guys could not be more different. Charles Clark, like you said earlier, his footwork isn't the best. He's a tough guy, coming forward, gives 2 shots to be able to land 1. Kamya likes to fight from a distance, so this is an interesting fight.
Well, it is a good match of contrasting styles. And certainly Charles Clark has the experience with 23 fights.
Kamya has his hands down by his side, John. Is that a sign of fatigue, or is he trying to draw Charles Clark in and counter?
Well, it could be both. And it could just be his style. A lot of guys these days like to fight with their hands down low. He may be trying to draw him in, although it doesn't take a lot to draw Charles Clark in. It's not like you have to set a trap. He's looking to get inside. He's hurt.
Big right hand catches Clark coming in, and Kamya scores the first knockdown of this fight. Just a picture-perfect right hand. We talked about it earlier, that he was timing Clark on the way in, and Clark was walking into shots, and that's just what happened there.
Well, we remarked that Clark's legs looked unsteady, and he's absorbed a lot of hard right hands tonight by Kamya.
Still 45 seconds to go in this round. Can Kamya finish him off? Clark stuck in a corner trying to keep himself up.
Boy, if Kamya could just time a short right uppercut on the inside, because Clark bends down, he might get him out of here.
Well, that was a picture-perfect right hand right on the button. You can see Clark still has not recovered.
No, he hasn't. He's unsteady.
Oh, another one lands by Kamya. Another big right hand.
In theory, Kamya should be able to get Clark out of here right now, Larry. Clark's in a lot of trouble.
Closing moments of this round, and it looks like Charles Clark will survive. But a big round for Kamya. Kamya looking to land one more shot here at the end of this round. Kamya with a knockdown of Clark in round 5. All right, the knockdown from the previous round, John. Perfect right hand there by Kamya.
Caught him right on the chin, clipped him. I was surprised that Clark survived the round.
All right, so here we go, round 6 underway. This fight is scheduled for 8 rounds tonight. And Clark looks like he recovered, but a lot of blood from the left eye as well as the mouth of Charles Clark.
Well, he has really taken a pounding here tonight. Kamya's had his way, particularly with the jab and the right hand right behind it. I've got Kamya ahead 48-46, but that round took a lot out of Clark.
Kamya 10-1 on the record, John, and we have not seen him tested on the chin. How far do you think he can go? He's got a lot of skills, you can see that.
He's got some savvy, he can punch, he's got some good boxing ability. He's gonna have to tighten up his defense a little bit and maybe work on his conditioning.
Kamya again from a distance doing his best work.
You don't see Clark being so frisky this round, and you see that he's losing his leg strength, which is going to affect his punching ability.
Losing his balance as well. Kamya fighting with a lot of confidence right now.
Well, he knows he's totally dominating his opponent here, and right now probably doesn't want to get caught. He feels pretty confident that he's ahead in this fight. And right now, he could rely on the jab and box him from the outside and probably easily win a decision at this point.
The options for Charles Clark are quickly disappearing. I think the aggressive style isn't going to work now because he really got tagged by Kamya.
I think it's really unfair for boxing fans here in Harrisburg to be booing this fight or booing Robert Clark, if that's who they're booing. Charles Clark, excuse me, because Charles Clark really absorbed a beating in that 5th round, and he's been trying the whole fight, and it was a competitive fight until that round.
Well, the right hand turned it around. Clark continues to move forward. Kamya's confidence is growing every round. It's becoming apparent that the punching power of Charles Clark really not strong enough to cause Kamya to alter his game plan.
Well, at this point, Clark is going to be a desperate kind of fighter because he needs to make something happen quickly. He's running out of time here.
2 rounds beyond this one as we approach the end of round 6. Charles Clark back to his game plan, back to the way he has fought, but you can see the face of Charles Clark. He's busted up. His mouth is bleeding. He's got a cut over his left eye as well. Kamya's footwork completely off balance as well, though, John. So if Clark could catch him, he's still got a shot. There's Charles Clark bringing it a little bit now as the round comes to a close. Still got to fight. 2 more rounds to go. All right, Charles Clark fighting gamely, showing a lot of courage, John.
He really battled back at the end of that round, Larry, and I gave him that round. I thought it was a fairly close round with Kamya in the lead, but what heart by Charles Clark.
Knocked down in the 5th, battling back in the 6th. The 7th round is next. This fight scheduled for 8. Charles Clark not exactly looking fresh, but somewhat reinvigorated by his performance in round 6.
Well, that was a great round for him in the 6th round, particularly the way he closed it, which always has a good impression on the judges. But you saw his corner man have to kind of assist him off the stool. Not a good sign for Charles Clark going into the last 6 minutes of this fight.
That's for sure. There you see Kamya, who scored the only knockdown of the fight in round 5. And Clark did well to just finish that round on his feet.
You got to feel pretty good right now if you're Robert Kamya, thinking that you're probably ahead in this fight and you want to keep this guy at bay. He's got to do that with the left hand primarily, but you see Kamya not using the jab very much here. I think that's a mistake.
You could go the other way with it, John. Kamya, after hitting Clark with everything he's got, and Clark is still there here in round 7. So you're really checking the mental makeup of Kamya as well to see if he can continue pummeling Clark for 2 more rounds.
Yeah, and Kamya may be thinking, hey, let this guy get closer to me. I want to land another shot. I think I can stop him. I see he's wobbly. His legs aren't there. And I'm going for the knockout here.
You can see Charles Clark working his jaw. That's not a good sign, especially after some of the right hands he's taken right on his jaw. And cut lip that he has, his jaw bothering him. Just wonder if he can finish this fight.
Well, Clark's got to continue to try to smother Kamya on the inside. That's what he's doing here, and hope to land something big.
Got Kamya up against the ropes. Crowd, I get the feeling they're behind Charles Clark somewhat just because of the underdog status that he employs here after getting knocked down in round 5. See that Kamya overhand right, nothing behind it, John.
Well, both fighters have had a terrific volume of punches in this fight, Larry. I mean, they've really been busy fighters, so it's no surprise here in the 7th round.
Well, down goes Clark, and that was more of a push. And the referee, Gary Rosado, is calling it a knockdown.
Well, it looked like Rosado may have looked over even at Greg Serb, the Pennsylvania commissioner, head of the commission there, and Serb was starting to count with his hands, and Rosado picked up the count.
Well, maybe he just helped him down after a good shot. The last punch was not a devastating punch. It kind of just pushed him down. Less than 30 seconds to go in round 7. This fight is scheduled for 8 rounds tonight in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Ballroom Boxing on the road, and you see Kamya stretching his legs. His legs are beginning to deceive him somewhat here in the 7th round. So maybe there is still hope for Charles Clark. Three minutes to go in this fight. Action from round 7, John.
Well, you see a desperate Charles Clark trying to find something that'll work, throwing those wild right hands. I thought Kamya, that was his round.
And that was the knockdown there. And yes, I don't think that's a bad call. I thought he was hurt, and the last shot just helped him on his way. So the 8th and final round. Ballroom Boxing back. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno, and John threw 7 rounds. How do you have this fight scored?
68-64 Kamya. I've got Clark needing a knockout to win this, Larry.
Clark has been knocked down 2 times in this fight, in the 5th round and also in the 7th round. 5th round took a devastating right hand and somehow got up. Kamya fighting with a little fire here in the final round. He wants the knockout.
Yeah, he clearly does. It doesn't look like he wants Clark standing on his feet at the end of this fight. He wants to finish business. And theoretically, he should have been able to stop him here because Clark has absorbed so much punishment and his legs aren't there. So is Robert Kamya not the kind of puncher maybe he thinks he is? Or is Charles Clark guttier than maybe people give him credit for? It's probably a combination of both. Charles Clark has fought a terrific fight here in terms of heart and determination.
I hate agreeing with you, but I agree with you.
Good thing Scheineman's not here. We'd have a fight going on.
I mean, Kamya has done what he's supposed to do. Whether he gets the knockout win or not, I don't know if that necessarily reflects on his punching power because of the toughness of Charles Clark.
No, but I think he should have been able to stop him, really, because
in the 5th round especially, when he had him out.
Yeah, Clark's flailing away here a little bit, and clearly his legs aren't underneath him. I just think the way he was teeing off, Kamya was going to stop Clark, but it doesn't look that way.
Still halfway through round 8. Still time for Charles Clark to make something happen.
Charles Clark earned every nickel that promoter Scott Wagner paid him tonight. Very gutty performance here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania by the Baltimore fighter.
He's taking a pummeling. Cut eye, cut mouth, knocked down twice, but he's still in the center of the ring. And now Gary Rosado, with a little more than a minute to go in this fight, has called a timeout to replace the mouthpiece of Charles Clark.
Blood just pouring out of Charles Clark's mouth.
Not a pretty sight. Good performance by Robert Kamya. How far he can go, we'll keep track of his career over the next couple of years out of Uganda. He's got some style, John. Certainly a unique fighter.
He's, been a fighter who's shown he could do a little bit of everything. Box, punch.
This 8th and final round coming to a close. Charles Clark scoring the right hand, but it is Robert Kamya dominating this fight, which should be reflected on the judges' scorecards as round 8 comes to a close. The decision coming up next as Ballroom Boxing continues from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Don't go away.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. Judge Wolf scores it 77-73. Judge Battle scores it 78-72. And Judge Bruni scores it 79-71. The winner by unanimous decision, Robert the Dr. Kamya. Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. Before I start the introductions, how about a fine round of applause for referee Gary Rosado, who has worked every bout this evening. An Iron Man performance. Gary Rosado. And now for the main event. The Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission, Commissioner George Bacchetto, Executive Director Greg Serb, along with Ballroom Boxing promoter Scott Wagner and matchmakers Chris Middendorf and Josh Hall, present this 8-round bout in the light heavyweight division. Your referee in charge, Gary Rosado. The judges, Tony Wolf, Paul Battle, and Bernard Bruni. The timekeeper, Dr. John Christopher. The physician at ringside is Dr. Dennis Gilbert. Introducing the Warriors. First, to my left, out of the blue corner, weighing 172.5 pounds. He is from Baltimore, Maryland, and the Mac Lewis Gym, the same gym in which the current heavyweight champion of the world, Hasim Rahman, got his start. This man has a record of 12-2, 9 via the KO. Please welcome Dana Rucker. To my right, out of the red corner, wearing the royal blue trunks, weighing 177 pounds. He hails from Reading, Pennsylvania, with a record of 7-1-2 via the KO. Please welcome Mike Negro Alvarez.
So obviously the crowd behind Mike Alvarez from nearby Reading, Pennsylvania. How close is Reading to Harrisburg, John?
Very close.
Dana Rucker looking to come into Alvarez's backyard and knock him off. Both men have a little bit of power. Alvarez 7-1, 2 knockouts. Dana Rucker, we've seen him before in the ballroom. He is 12-2 with 9 wins by way of knockout.
Let's put it this way, it's so close. If Alvarez gets caught right, he'll end up there.
And yes, you heard the introduction, Dana Rucker from the Mac Lewis gym, and that is where the heavyweight champion Hasim Rahman got started. I got to be a lot of pride in that corner right now.
Wow.
Alvarez, the southpaw, stumbling early.
Look at the fancy trunks on Dana Rucker. And the fancy do to go with it.
Yeah, Dana Rucker brings a lot of style into the ring. He has a questionable jaw, but he's had a tremendous amateur career. And he's a very good boxer, John. Rucker has a lot of skills.
He certainly does, but that chin has been known to betray Dana, and that's what he's got to protect tonight here against Mike Alvarez, who only has 2 knockouts in 8 fights, so you wouldn't think he would pose that kind of a power threat, but Dana can't afford to take a chance, Larry, and get sloppy.
Good work to the body by Dana Rucker here early.
Dana, very good boxer, very well schooled. Got a lot of ability. We'll see how far his chin can take him down the road of boxing.
Alvarez coming off a victory. In fact, he's won his last 4 straight.
Well, he's on a bit of a roll. Dana Rucker with 12 wins out of 14 fights. Trying to put his career back on track as a light heavyweight.
Rucker always in great condition. He's got the perfect light heavyweight body.
He really does. Good shape. Kind of looks like you without your tuxedo on, Larry.
Yeah, indeed.
I'd say your pectoral muscles are just a little bit larger. You know, Dana Rucker, we've always marveled at his physique and his skill in the ring. He's got big legs. If you look at his legs almost look the size of a heavyweight in terms of his calves.
Yeah, Rucker, you know, he could grow into a heavyweight with the proper conditioning and, of course, diet. Certainly got a good punch.
Could he take a heavyweigh's punch? That would be the question.
That's the question right there.
Yeah, that would nag Dana Rucker, because at 175, he's shown that he can, you know, be vulnerable to getting hit on the whiskers.
Uppercut by Dana Rucker scores.
Of course, it all starts with that left hand by Dana Rucker, and he's using that jab here well in the first round.
Alvarez fighting against the ropes. That is not a good strategy against a man like Dana Rucker, who packs a wallet. Closing moments of round 1 at the Zembo Temple. We're in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Ballroom Boxing on the road this week. Round 2 coming up in a moment. All right, round 2 underway at the Zembo Temple. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno, and Mike Alvarez comes out and pops Dana Rucker with a left hand, John.
Well, you got to believe his corner said, hey, look, this guy has shown vulnerability around the chin area. Go after him. You're not going to outbox him from the outside.
Overhand left that time by Alvarez. Right hand by Alvarez.
Good strategy coming out here in the second round and pressuring Dana Rucker instead of allowing Rucker to back him up. Alvarez did a lot of that in the first round, went to the ropes. Not a good move.
It's almost as though Rucker allowing Alvarez to get back into the fight after a good first round for Dana Rucker.
See Dana trying to keep that chin tucked, gloves high. You know, his corner has tried to school him on that in sparring sessions. You got to protect the beard. He's doing a good job of it here so far. We're only in the second round here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Rucker's hair becoming a little looser, John, and his hair is long enough to where that could be a factor if it comes out of that ponytail he's wearing.
I've always been against guys who have that kind of hair for that reason. I think they should be forced to cut it or put it back in some kind of a fashion where there's no chance it could come out and whip an opponent's eyes or something.
Stone Bramble used to have.
But he had shorter ones.
Yeah.
They would just tickle you probably, but I don't know.
We won't go there as Rucker works the inside of Alvarez. He's got Alvarez up against the corner here now.
Now Alvarez came out smoking in this round, Larry, and then he stopped.
Looking at a different class of fighter here. We're going to see how it turns out. This fight is scheduled for 8 rounds. Alvarez continues to back away now. Again, John, you're right. He came out with a different style to start the second round, and he's kind of settled back into the same sparring partner mode almost.
Yeah, he lapsed into what he was doing in the first round, which is to take those jabs from Rucker and then back up into the ropes, and not doing so effectively. Trying to fight off the ropes, Alvarez, scoring a couple times against Dana Rucker. Good uppercut by Alvarez on the inside.
Rucker moving forward, becoming more aggressive this round as this round continues, bringing it to Alvarez pretty severely right now. Alvarez counters.
Alvarez is better tighten up his defense or he is going to be in a world of hurt.
Round 2, a good one for Dana Rucker after a slow start. More Ballroom Boxing coming your way in a moment. All right, round 3 underway here at Harrisburg's Zumbo Temple. Larry Michael with Jon Saraceno. This is Ballroom Boxing. More information on Ballroom Boxing, check us out on the web, www.ballroomboxing.com. And in the ring right now, Dana Rucker with the flamboyant red trunks, and Mike Alvarez in the blue trunks with the black trim. John, the first 2 rounds have been dictated by Dana Rucker.
Yeah, he came out very strong, although in that last round, Alvarez had a terrific start to the round and then just went into a shell, gave it away.
Alvarez trying to give Rucker some side-to-side movement. And Rucker standing there and engaging with Alvarez, who is trying to turn the tide here in round 3.
Well, Alvarez is going to have to take some chances as he's doing. Because Dana Rucker, that chin is a question mark, and Alvarez is not going to outbox Dana Rucker. It's just not going to happen. Well, there he is again, going to the ropes is Mike Alvarez. And you know, he scored a little bit off the ropes, but Rucker continues to try to bear down on Alvarez. Rucker has been the aggressor, Larry, and using that left hand, he's really used the jab well tonight.
Good body shot by Alvarez. Rucker trying to smother him. Rucker switching to southpaw momentarily, trying to give Alvarez a different look. Style here for Alvarez, a tough style to compete against. Rucker just too sharp a puncher. Alvarez trying to engage him in a brawl, but Rucker just goes back to his boxing techniques and controls the tempo. Alvarez spending way too much time up against the ropes. John, I think you got to give credit to Rucker for keeping his punches flying, even though Alvarez has been kind of hit and miss with his offense. Rucker has stuck to his game plan.
He's been very consistent with the left hand, and that is what's winning the fight for him right now. It's that left hand. Alvarez is having a hard time getting past it. Dana really not taking a lot of chances with the lead right hand against the southpaw. Figuring maybe he can wear his opponent down, then look for that shot with the right hand and maybe end matters quickly.
Less than 30 seconds to go. Alvarez a little tied up in the ropes, and that just might be an indication of how his legs are failing.
And a lot of times when fighters do go to the ropes, it's because their legs aren't there, and we've seen Alvarez do that early and often.
Fight is scheduled for 8 rounds. Round 4 is next. So we are set for round 4. This fight between Dana Rucker and Mike Alvarez. Neither man has been hurt, neither man has been down, but Dana Rucker beginning to bring it a little bit, Jon.
Well, he has been doing that, and he has been effective behind that jab. You see the size and reach advantage of Dana Rucker. And Alvarez has got to find a way to mount some offense, Larry, or he's going to be in trouble soon.
Rucker really in a rhythm, and Alvarez doing the best he can, just trying to defend himself. You can see real height advantage in favor of Dana Rucker, and he's taking advantage of the reach advantage as well.
Well, the constant pressure that Dana's applying is beginning to wear down Alvarez, and it's showing.
Rucker doing a good job keeping his hands high. Alvarez is built strongly, but he has not scored with any real power shots so far in this fight.
Well, there he shot the right hand. He knows Dana's reputation, and the chink in his armor is his chin, and he tried to hit him with the right hand. He missed.
Alvarez has kind of gotten into a pattern of backing up. Big overhand right by Dana Rucker, and Alvarez is hurt, and he holds on.
He's got to stay off those ropes. He keeps backing up to him.
Another jab by Dana Rucker. So Alvarez still throwing, and I guess with the history of Rucker, that's what Alvarez has to do.
Well, to slow up Alvarez, too, he's got to go downstairs, Dana. He can't always aim for the head.
Alvarez looking a little worse for wear here in round 4. Overhand right, a glancing blow by Alvarez.
See, Alvarez is not really a straight, clean, hard puncher. Kind of punches from angles.
Rucker with a combination left hand just whizzes by the chin of Alvarez.
See, I think Alvarez should be pressing Rucker on the inside, giving him upper body movement, trying to get inside and land that one shot that he could knock Dana Rucker out with. Instead, he keeps backing up and creating distance for a boxer. Worst thing he could be doing.
And again, Alvarez finds himself against the ropes trying to battle away from the corner. And he gets away. Dana Rucker will not let him rest, though.
And you could just see Dana Rucker trying to time that right hand.
Boy, Dana Rucker really turning over his punches.
Well, it's starting to rain hard and heavy on Alvarez. The punches are coming fast.
Rucker from the southpaw stance misses a left hand. A right hand scores, though. Big round here, round 4 for Dana Rucker. More ballroom boxing coming up in a moment. All right, action from round 4 as Dana Rucker had Alvarez up against the ropes. Alvarez hurt in round 4, Jon, and he's in desperate trouble. We're only midway through this fight, and he's getting pummeled.
Well, there's an attrition factor here, and he's wearing out fast, Larry. There's no question about that.
So here is round 5. This fight scheduled for 8 rounds. Dana Rucker in the red trunks, the flamboyant red trunks, and Mike Alvarez in the blue trunks. It's been all Dana Rucker in this fight so far.
Alvarez's best shot here is to hope for that home run punch. Try to get Dana Rucker out of there. He doesn't look like he's going to win a points decision, certainly. He's got to try and mix it up and hope for the best.
Rucker with the double left to the body.
Short left hook on the inside of Alvarez. It looked like it connected. That was a nice shot.
Rucker stalking Alvarez somewhat right now.
He's been doing that most of the night, waiting for his moment. Crowd behind Rucker now.
Alvarez is frustrated, John. He really hadn't been able to do much offensively. Good body shot by Rucker again.
Rucker's using that jab to try to set up that right hand. Really, Alvarez unable to mount any kind of offense here, Larry, at all.
Good body shot by Dana Rucker, and Alvarez has to take a knee. Rucker scored with a shot to the head afterwards, but the body shot hurt Alvarez, and I'm not sure he's getting up.
So he's quitting. He quit.
It's over. It's over. Mike Alvarez takes the count of 10 on the knee, and I believe the left hand to the body caused some damage there. So Dana Rucker gets his 10th knockout, and this is how it happened.
Well, again, using that jab, but really it wasn't the right hand tonight for Dana Rucker. It was the body shot. The left hand just crumpled his opponent.
Yeah, Alvarez hurt with that left hand to the body, and he did not get up.
The winner by KO at 153 of round 5, Dana Rucker.